Hi there, Victor Pross speaking to you, anarchist artist. Okay, today I'm going to talk about. Oh, I got a crow up there in the air. Anyway, today we're going to talk about my writing a novel. Yes, I've decided to write a novel. Actually, this is an idea that occurred to me maybe about, I don't know, 4 to 5 years ago, and I have seem to have churned out at least 900 pages of thoughts and impressions and experiences and kind of a journalistic kind of entries, and it's just been a very haphazard, ad hoc approach to writing the novel. But it's gone through various facelifts. It's gone from first-person narrator to omniscient narrator, and has gone back and forth, and finally I've decided that it's going to be told through by means of using literary language for the omniscient narrator, and it's going to be told. It's a setting. The story is called Hungry Artist. That's the name of the novel that I am yet to fully put together and edited into a comprehensive, plot-driven story with very rich, diverse characters and lively dialogue, and a plot that's has conflict and resolution within it. All the story, all the typical stock and trade codified approach to storytelling, a beginning, middle, and end, and all that fun stuff. It's not going to be necessarily be the Jack Kerouac on the road stream of consciousness form of narration, which is a very interesting point, because given the setting of the story takes place between roughly 1956 to 1963, and it is kind of like the story itself is a playful, has a playful wink and homage to the Beat generation, in that it centers around the lives of the protagonists or central characters are artists of different kinds. We have a painter, we have a writer, we have a musician, we have a comic, and so it revolves around their lives and their pursuit of their trade, their vocation, their passion, and they're seeking out of a different lifestyle that is contrary to the popular mainstream culture. They're trying to live a life that is genuine with genuine individualism. We'll put it that way. Maybe I'm pronouncing it right, wrong. And they are trying to have a life that is spontaneous and free, and not necessarily contrived and cookie cutter. They paint by numbers lifestyles of mainstream culture, particularly at that time in the 1950s, when conformity was the thing. You lived in the suburbs, you got married, you paid your taxes, you voted, you were proud to be an American, and you supported various causes. Maybe you were with the Ku Klux Klan, and if you weren't necessarily with the Ku Klux Klan, you had sympathy, and you were sympathetic towards the idea of segregation. So in that sense, you were kind of like a mainstream, in this case, maybe a conservative or right-wing, a religionist right-wing, barbecue, going to the work, paying the bills, smacking the kids, spoil the rod, or spare the rod, spoil the kids kind of approach. So this was like your mainstream conformities. Every Saturday night was devoted to watching Milton Berle, going bowling, lynching a Negro, and telling Rosa Parks to get the fuck out of that seat because you want to sit down there as a white guy. You know, this kind of mainstream culture that was typical at the time. So here we have these 4 renegade artists that look at it, who are able to, at that time too, in their own ways, not cautiously, but in a very implicit, subconscious sense, they were able to recognize that the whole bubble was not only corrupt and corroded, but bogus and false right down to the core. And they try in their own ways, with every kind of obstacle placed in their path, professionally and personally, to live an authentic life in a mainstream conformist culture. Basically, that is what Hungry artist is, that's where hungry artist is coming from. And you can see, even with the title, you know, it's kind of like a playful wink at the typical cliche, you know, starving artist, which in this sense means that choosing the arts, whatever arts that you're choosing, can be in terms of income, regular, steady, reliable income can be rather precarious. And the starving artist who is so driven by his passions and commitment to his craft that you know, that he will undertake that kind of that risk, that financial security risk, and live an authentic life. And you know, that's the whole thing with the starving artist, and which really can be traced back to Van Gogh, the poor unfortunate fellow filled with compassion. He painted like a madman. He couldn't even be bothered to mix his colors or anything like that. Straight from the tube, right onto the canvas, and that's why you have the bright and lucid lividness of his paintings. So he's that kind of a passionate guy. Poor unfortunate guy, though, only sold one painting in his lifetime. I'm glad to say that that hasn't been my fate, but still, that is the whole thing of starving artists. That's the whole phenomena of that, and that's why it's a popular statement. But in this case, hungry artist. Hungry is that passion. I mean, that definitely that passion is there. That hunger is absolutely present, but it's not necessarily when it's a hungry artist, not necessarily starving artist in the sense of precarious livelihood, but rather just that hunger. So I think that the title is perfectly apt given the nature of the story, and hungry artist. Yeah, I really like that. So that is the name of the novel, and just a few little tidbits as to what inspired the novel in the first place. It's just you know, when you live in as long as I have, and now in my late 40s, you've tasted life, and you've accumulated quite a bit of experiences. So naturally, I've drawn on a lot of my experiences. The novel is, of course, primarily a creative work as I'm exploring my imagination, but I am relying also on actual experiences that I'm taking from my life and incorporating it within the structure of an organized, imagine-driven plot, naturally. But some of the experiences are kind of close to home, and you have to read the novel to find out what that might be. But certainly the I also have like this weird, I guess, fascination with the past. I don't know. I love old movies, 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. I just find, I don't know, like times where that I hadn't even yet been born, or was still very young. I'm just fascinated by nostalgia and old quaint ways and old slang, and what can I say? I guess it's just a thing with me. But that's why I decided to set the story in the late 50s and early 60s. But for another reason too, is that at those times, those were the times of a cultural change. You could feel it in the wind, as Bob Dylan said. You know, the times are a-changin' and blowing in the wind, and etc. That there definitely was a feeling of a sense of change in the air. The post-World War II. Cold War era, and and I think that what the social revolutions that took place are still being felt today. And here we are. We're going through a second kind of cultural revolution. I mean, if you can't feel the changes in the air in 2012, well, then you are truly sleeping at the wheel. So I think in that sense it's a very timely novel. So I'm not going back to irrelevancies and things that are passé or history or anything like that that has no relevance. That I'm setting it at that time is kind of like we're able to see through without necessarily looking at the road ahead. Sometimes it's very important to look in the rear view mirror for ultimate safety when driving on the road called life. And so that's what you could say that this novel is about. It's looking in the rear view mirror to see where we came from and what has brought us to today. And in that sense, I think that it won't just be like a pulp fiction kind of novel where it's just digestible in one read. You toss it away once you're trapped on a plane taking a trip. You know, you take some light reading with you. I think It's not just going to be mere consumption, entertainment-wise, but I hope it to be a thought-provoking novel that will stand the test of time. I know that's a big, ambitious artistic project that I've undertaken, but it is a labor of love, and so that's just a quick little preview of a novel that's yet to be. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I will let you know. Thank you for listening. Victor Pross signing out. Pop goes the culture.